Welcome in to the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, real underscore G Warner. We're going through England, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany on today's episode. We're 11 and 6 and 1, 65% year to date on our best bets. What I do is I take my favorite pick from each of the leagues, smash them all together in a what used to be a 1 minute reel on Instagram at the real underscore G Warner, or on YouTube, a short at the real underscore G Warner, and then pick my favorite, and that's what you grade each episode upon. We are catching up slowly but surely on this soccer campaign, but we are going through the weekend's action across all the top five European soccer leagues. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving if you're in the United States. If you are not, then wherever you're celebrating, whatever you're doing, glad you're alive, glad you're tuning in. I want to thank the new YouTube subscribers. We're up to 215 now. Still have a million left until we hit any sort of ad tiers. So good luck, enjoy. There will be no ads for a very, very long time. So, with all that said and done, Joe Dollar and F1 watch along. Joe, you might have noticed that we haven't done a lot of F1 episodes on this channel recently. We were doing it for a while, and actually, um, I- probably you interact with Angel more than I do. So it's a good chance that you can probably talk F1 with her. But I think that was a once in a lifetime type of thing. We might have F1 come back next year if there's a clamoring for it. I'm not sure that there's a lot of desire, or interest, or anything besides you and her. So glad to put you two together, and hopefully you can make some money together going forward. So back to the regularly scheduled programming. We're going to go straight into what is a very difficult board to read now that BetOnline has got rid of their classic site. But we'll start in England because that's where the money is. And we'll start with Brentford, and they are hosting Burnley on Saturday, the 29th of November. Looks like a 10 a.m. Eastern time start, which I am in the Eastern time zone. So finally don't have to translate the clock, which is a little bit nice. But with that all said, let's get into it. So Brentford, a 1.25 goal favorite at home to Burnley, which I think speaks to Brentford being in the Premier League for many years now, their ability to score goals and their ability to beat or at least draw, get results against the best teams in England. In terms of the total here, we're looking at 2.75, used very heavily to under, and I think reflects a Burnley side that have not really shown they can score goals. They're going to be very defensive and will doing everything they can to keep it as low scoring as possible. For that reason, I think biggest interest for me is under 2.75. Would love to get a three, but doesn't look like the juice is pointing in that direction. Move next to Manchester City. They are hosting Leeds. Currently, Man City, a 1.75 goal favorite with almost all the juice. Total in this one is three, juiced all the way to over. So another situation where Leeds are going on the road, newly promoted side, going to try to do their best to keep this as low scoring as possible. That's my only real interest is under 3 goals. It's getting odds right now. Likely going to see a 3.25 before kickoff on Saturday morning here in the United States. I'm not really sure I'm a believer in Leeds at this point. They've been able to score goals sometimes at home, but really this is try to keep as close as possible and prevent that first Manchester City goal from going in. Because as soon as that's scored, then there's going to be some big problems with them hanging in this matchup. We'll move next to Sunderland hosting Bournemouth. Currently, Sunderland, a home underdog. They are a quarter goal right now with almost actually with all the juice right now at Bet Online. They're only doing 16-cent lines, which is pretty affordable. And if you're looking for a book specifically for betting the English Premier League, please hit me up at the real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used pretty heavily to under right now. That's a little bit anti what Bournemouth have shown this season, last season, their ability to score goals. But deep down in Andoni Iraola's Basque heart, they are still a side that wants to defend first and counterattack. It's different where they sit in the Premier League table right now. Sunderland have shown they're going to defend. So I think that's probably the most trustworthy thing here is a low scoring game that Sunderland will dictate the pace. I lean to the underdog at home, excuse me, and also to the under 2.5. And Sunderland and unders have been great bets all season, so no real reason to get off of that train. We'll move to the next window of your, I guess, English matches on Saturday with Everton. They're hosting Newcastle. Total in this one is 2.5, juice very heavily to under. And we have a pick 'em with a little bit more juice, 2 cents more on Everton, the home side. Newcastle have shown big differences between their home and road splits. That's scary to go on the road to a tough place to play, though Everton's new venue doesn't seem to be as difficult for the road teams. I think at this point, Everton low scoring games is what I'm looking to bet as much as possible because they Don't really have much goal scoring in their team, and they do defend and want to defend, which is something you can't really say for a lot of Europe. So for me, under 2.5, I think biggest interest right now. We'll see if Newcastle move to a favorite because that's probably the only thing I'd really want is Everton as a home underdog. To the nightcap on Saturday, we have Tottenham. They are hosting Fulham in a West or just a London derby. I guess Fulham are West, Tottenham are North. Total in this one is 2.5, juice very heavily to under, and we have Tottenham a quarter goal favorite, which is pretty cheap at this point considering Tottenham's expenditures, how expensive their team has been put together, and how much more talent they have than Fulham. Though Fulham, I think, based on this number, are getting a lot of respect from the market, and they deserve it because they played well so far this season. The results haven't really reflected that. But this to me seems like the Premier League market or just the general European soccer market betting at Tottenham as they have all season. Under 2.5 is interesting to me because Tottenham have played a very conservative brand of football at home. I don't know how long Thomas Frank can play that and still maintain his position as manager at Tottenham Hotspur, one of the biggest clubs in the world, certainly in England. But the underdog and the under, I think, are very interesting to me right now. Basically fading a Tottenham offense, which has not really done much so far this season and hasn't really seemed like they wanted to do much either. Moving next to the Sunday early matchup, which is surprising, very, very early start. We have Crystal Palace hosting Manchester United. Currently, Palace, a quarter goal favorite at home, a little bit more juice, a couple cents more on Manchester United. Total in this one is 2 3/4, and it's just pretty heavily to under, I think, reflecting the lack of offense on both of these clubs. But the total is 2 3/4 for some reason, and I don't really see that. I really would like to get Crystal Palace a dominant home team at home. Um, at a pick 'em. Juice certainly doesn't suggest we'll get there, but I can pray, hope that we see a lot of United money coming in. Under 2 3/4 goals seems pretty large for these two teams. Moving to the big window on Sunday with three matches all at the same time. Aston Villa are currently at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers, who have changed managers. Aston Villa 1 goal favorites right now at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to over. So Aston Villa are a great defensive side. I don't know that they've scored enough goals for who they are and what league they play in the Europa League this season. Wolverhampton Wanderers come to town, though, without much going for them. And I think we see Wolves try to keep this as low scoring as possible. My biggest concern is that Wolves just can't do that because their defense is not good enough. They don't really score offensively. And when they fall behind, they're going to have to go up forward, and that puts their defense under even bigger stress. I'll be waiting to see if this one climbs to 2 3/4. I think we will see that based on the juice point in that direction right now. And the more we can get, the more push possibilities. If this lands 3, the more interested I am in under 3. We move next to West Ham United. They're hosting Liverpool in what will probably be one of the bigger home dogs of the weekend. Only 3/4 of a goal at home, though, with most of the juice on the home side, surprisingly. Total in this one is 3, juice all the way to over. And this is pretty much the most defensive team you can have in West Ham United until we get to the next matchup, I guess. But West Ham have been playing so poorly this year that they're going to do everything they can to keep Liverpool from scoring. I think that's great, especially when you get a push on 3 total goals in this matchup. And we might even get 3 1/4 before kickoff. So West Ham under 3, my biggest interest in that Sunday matchup. Moving next, still in the same window, Nottingham Forest hosting Brighton. Total in this one is 2.5, juice pretty heavily to under, with a pick 'em right now with the road team, Brighton, with almost all the juice. Nottingham Forest coming off of Malmo at home in the Europa League midweek. Brighton are not playing in Europe this year, so that certainly benefits the legs of Brighton. Also think that they have a lot more talent and really are a much better club at this point so far this season. Don't like the road pick'em, though I'll be probably not much to do for me on the side in this matchup, but really betting against under 2.5, I think makes a lot of sense just because Nottingham Forest have the most conservative manager you could dream of in the Premier League, and Sean Dyche, and I just don't really see a lot happening in that matchup. Last but not least, the big one, another London derby. This one, Chelsea hosting Arsenal. Currently, Chelsea quarter goal underdogs at home with all the juice on Arsenal away. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used pretty heavily to under. So Chelsea are not really an underplayers team for me, but they certainly know facing the top of the Premier League that they need to put forth a really great defensive performance. Arsenal have been awesome so far this season, but I do feel like they're going to have some trouble on the way or away on the road against a really talented goal scoring Chelsea's type of side. The best part about Arsenal is they really force you to defend the entire matchup and really don't concede any shots. And for that reason, I think under 2.5 is still very interesting to me in this matchup. Though it's juiced at the moment, I'm not so concerned if it drops to 2.25. But I think from a side perspective, Chelsea's a home underdog are of interest, but I think I like the under better. So for an ultimate best bet possibility or potential for later in the show, I'm going to go with that Sunderland Bournemouth under 2.5 goals, as I just don't really see any reason to get off the Sunderland train and the under train that's been chewing along all season. Do a audio check, make sure everyone is alive here. We have Joe coming in with some comments. Throw that in there as well. Though he's not no longer in the chat, I can show his comments. Palace money line, he's interested there. He also wants the West Ham team total over 1.5. That is nuts, but plus 180 certainly will pay you for it if you get 2 goals from West Ham. I don't really see that happening. Arsenal money line as well. I certainly could see it going on the road, and a, pit, a push on a draw would not be horrible. Hard for me to say for some reason, but I think of all the suggestions, Palace money line, I think it's the one I like the best. And we'll now move back to Spain, and we'll start on Friday's matchup with Getafe hosting Elche. Currently, Getafe quarter goal favorites, a little bit more juice on the home team. Total in this one is 1.75, juice all the way to over. I'm waiting for this one with bated breath to try to see a 2 pop up because I do want that push on 2 as it's the lowest I'll play a total under. Don't have that yet. Don't really know that I want to get involved with Elche, though I do like the way they've played so far this season. That's my only real interest in this matchup on Friday evening in the Spanish capital or in the suburbs of Madrid. I think at this point for me, though, it's really hard for me to want to get involved with fading Getafe. They've been pretty good at home. They stay in this league every year based on home results, and they're going to be really physical against an Elche side that are going to try to play with the football. And that does also interest me, though. If Elche is going to control possession, then that quarter goal underdog will be very, very interesting. Moving to Saturday, we'll start with Mallorca hosting Osasuna. Currently, Mallorca quarter goal underdogs at excuse me, Mallorca quarter goal favorites at home. It's so rare to see them as a favorite. Almost all the juice on Osasuna as road dogs. Total in this one is 2, and it's juiced all the way to over. I'll certainly be looking at under here as Mallorca are a much better home team. They've had a really bad year so far and look really potentially relegation threatened. For that reason, Osasuna as a quarter goal underdog look very interesting as well. I think I like under 2 better than the quarter of goal on the road team. Not really sure I see a lot of goals coming from Osasuna either if they've not been playing well at the same time. But at this point, I think under 2 is very interesting and could get 2.25 before kickoff on Saturday morning. Move next to Barcelona hosting Alaves. Currently, Barca a 2-goal favorite with more juice at home. Total in this one is 3.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under right now. Alaves are a defensive side. They're going to beat the heck out of you, somehow lead the league, La Liga in fouls more so than Getafe just spoken about. But big price on Alaves. I just know they can't score with Barcelona, so this is going to be doing their best to keep this as low scoring possible as long as possible. So under 3.5, probably my biggest interest there, but not much for me to want to do with the side. We'll move next to Levante hosting Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Levante a quarter goal underdog at home with more juice on Athletic Club. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over right now, but just going to see it at 2.5. Athletic Club Bilbao have really suffered from playing Champions League. They can't stay healthy. They've seen both Williams brothers in and out of the lineup or really out of the lineup all season. Under 2.25 looks very interesting. Could get 2.5 as well. So Levante, I like the home side as well in that matchup on Saturday. We'll move to the nightcap on Saturday evening. Atletico Madrid, they are hosting Real Oviedo. Currently Atleti, a 1.75 goal favorite with all the juice, climbing likely towards 2. And the total in this one is 2.75, juiced pretty heavily to over. I'll be waiting to see this number hit 3. I think Oviedo go in and try to defend as much as possible. I'm less interested in the side, even if it does climb to 2. I think at this point, I think I probably need to get a 3 because I am concerned about Atletico Madrid scoring a bunch of goals, but Oviedo are going to go in and try to keep this as low scoring as possible. And if you believe they can do that, or at least try to, I mean, if you think that Oviedo can score, then you probably don't want much to do with the total. But I don't really see that happening. And a 2-0 Atletico Madrid win will certainly do well for paying out your under. Moving to Sunday, we'll start Real Sociedad quarter goal underdogs at home to Villarreal. Total is right now 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over, which is surprising just based on Real Sociedad's inability to score, though they are a home underdog and very juiced one at that, maybe falling back down to pick 'em, we could see. Villarreal have been playing a more conservative counterattacking style so far this season. I think that plays very well to under, especially for Real Sociedad side at home that haven't really scored much. That's probably more interesting to me fan the side, though I do like Real Sociedad not playing in Europe. They can draw at home and you still win a portion of a bet. And Villarreal, I think, are going to eventually succumb to playing Champions League, though it has not been as bad as Athletic Club Bilbao so far this season. Move next to Sevilla, quarter goal underdogs at home to Real Betis in the biggest the El Gran Derby, I believe. Total in this one is 2.5, choose very heavily to under. And we saw Real Sociedad and Athletic Club Bilbao scoring a bunch of goals in their derby matchup, but I don't think we see that in this one. Though Real Betis certainly have shown a propensity to score so far this season. Like Sevilla at home, crowd will be nuts. Um, and I think the home underdog is very expensive at the moment, but we'll see if Real Betis money comes in. And the nice part is Sevilla didn't play midweek while Real Betis toiled in Europa League. We'll move next to Celta de Vigo, half a goal favorites at home to Espanyol. All the juice on Espanyol away. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used pretty heavily to over as we speak. Celta Vigo have not really scored much so far this season. They've really struggled to win matches. Espanyol are great and are not playing midweek, so I like that as well. I think Espanyol as a side is my bigger interest here, getting the half of a goal. Even if it falls to the quarter, I think I'm still interested. Under 2.5 is also very interesting to me in that one on Sunday. To the nightcap Sunday, Girona hosting Real Madrid. Currently, Girona a 1.25 goal underdog at home with 2 cents more juice on Real Madrid. Total in this one is 3.5, and it's used very heavily to under. Now, Girona have played Barcelona tight when they qualified for Champions League in amazing fashion just a couple seasons ago. They've gotten smoked by Real Madrid every time they played them, and I don't want much to do with this one whatsoever. So that's an easy stay away for me on Sunday. We'll move to the last matchup of this match day, of this jornada, as they say in Spain. Rayo Vallecano, half a goal favorites at home to Valencia. More juice on Valencia away. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's used pretty heavily to over right now. So I don't really see a lot of goals coming from this matchup. I think Valencia go on the road, benefit from Rayo playing in Conference League midweek, though they've been rotating their squad all season. I think Valencia haven't shown they can score goals. It's been a big problem for them for years. I thought they were turning the corner this year, and we really haven't seen it happen. So for my best bet on the La Liga portion of this card, I'm going to go with Levante and Athletic Club Bilbao under 2.25 goals. I just don't see a lot of goals coming in that matchup. We move now to Italian Serie A. We'll do a sound check just to make sure we're still alive. And hopefully we are. We do have okay. We have some Spain picks coming in from Joe Dollar. Liverpool saying he gives up 2 goals to everyone. Yeah, possible. We'll see on that one. I don't know about West Ham in that one, even though plus 180 does look nice. I don't think it's high enough. Barca and under 4.5. Interesting. So trying to do what we call a short strangle in the trading markets in the United States, I think. Real Betis, both teams to score over 2.5, as it's certainly not the way I expect El Derby or El Gran Derby to go between the two Sevilla clubs, but that's one way to put it. And certainly you could see some grinders there. Real Madrid and 4.5. I'm assuming under in that one as well. Just want to see a lot of big wins for favorites, but low scoring games apparently is what Joe Dollar is seeing. Not sure I agree with all of that, but wins can happen. And apparently, even in a daytime episode, we were getting the yawns of the Real Underscore G Warner late night edition. Move now to Italia. We'll start on today's, I guess, lineup. We have Como hosting Sassuolo. Currently, Como 3/4 goal favorites. Used to split both ways in this matchup. Total is 2.5, and it's used more to over. So Sassuolo are, I think they've done a lot to basically prove that they are Serie A level. And for that reason, I like the 3/4 goal underdog. Can lose by a single goal, and you only lose half your stake. Would have loved this to climb to 1. I don't think we'll get there in just a couple of, well, just an hour from now. But Como have not really been the darling that everyone expected them to be so far. They play good football, but I just don't think they've been as dominant as the Serie A market has expected them over a couple seasons. For that reason, I guess I'll lean to under 2.5 as well. On this Friday kickoff, we have an hour, and I'm not sure I feel so great about either of those. Moving to Saturday, we'll start with Genoa hosting Verona. Currently, Genoa half a goal favorites. All the juice on Verona away. Total in this one is 2, and it's used very heavily to under. And it should be because Genoa is a favorite. I mean, especially of this size, they've not scored enough goals in years to justify that. Lean to Verona, half of a goal underdog, and to under 2. Will not play 1 3/4. The Serie A market has been pretty careful not to drop below 2 on a lot of their totals. We'll see if they stick to that hard line because this is certainly a game to see a low scoring matchup. It might be one I want to grab sooner rather than later. Moving to, I guess, the same window, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Parma, a pick'em at home to Udinese. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's also juiced very heavily to under. We've seen a lot of betting towards unders in these matchups, and I think it's certainly justified as this is another game that looks like very low scoring. Parma haven't scored much this year. Udinese do have some goals in the team, and they do have some mistakes defensively. I just don't know that I expect much to happen in that matchup. To the next matchup, we'll go to Juventus hosting Cagliari. Currently, Juve, a 1.5 goal favorite. All the juice on Cagliari away. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juice more to the over. So Cagliari are going to go on the road and try to keep this as low scoring as possible. That's my biggest interest there. I don't really trust them to score. Don't really trust Juve too much, though Juve's defense has been horrible to start the season, has improved. We'll see what happens this one, but I think under 2.5 is the biggest interest for the Islanders, trying to keep this as low scoring as possible, try to steal a point away in Torino. Moving to the nightcap on Saturday, we have Milan hosting Lazio. Currently, Milan 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juice more to the over. So Milan are not playing Europe this year, but neither are Lazio, and I think Lazio are better than they've been getting priced so far this season. I like the 3/4 of a goal. Would love to get a full goal of insurance. I think we will get there, at least an expensive one before kickoff. Also lean to under 2.25 because I think Massimiliano Allegri, the new manager of Milan, formerly of Juventus, will be as low scoring and trying to win matches 1-0. So I'd make a 1-0 Milan final perfect for a +1 and under 2.25, though I think Lazio can do better than that. Moving to the early one on Sunday, we have Lecce at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. They are a pick 'em at home to Torino. Torino with all the juice right now, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they can't score goals. Total in this one is 2. Juice heavily to the under, but makes sense because neither of the teams can score. I lean to Lecce at home as a pick 'em. Would love to get a quarter of a goal. Wait out and see if we can get that one. And under 2 feels like a perfect 0-0 draw in a early matchup on Sunday in Italia. Moving next to Pisa, hosting Inter Milan. Currently Pisa 1.5 goal underdogs at home. A little bit more juice, 4 cents worth on Bet Online. Total is 2.75 this one, and is juice, and the juice is split both ways. So not really big indicators of where this number is moving. Lean to the big home underdog, Pisa getting a goal and a half, but I think I like the under 2.75 more. And both of those things are scary because Inter Milan should dominate this game. And once they start scoring, you never know when they're going to stop. Move next to Atalanta hosting Fiorentina. Currently, Atalanta 3/4 goal favorite with the juice split both ways. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juice more to the over. So Fiorentina have changed managers, are trying to figure out what to do after one of the most ridiculous starts for a big club, one of the seven sisters or six sisters, however they call it, in Italia. Atalanta have not been great offensively, so I think as this number gets closer to 1, I get more interested in Fiorentina. At the current 3/4, I guess I still like it, but I think I want that full +1. And with the discussion of not really seeing goals, Fiorentina's defense has not been great, but it's really, I think, been their offense not scoring. It's been such a problem so far this season. So under 2.5, I think, is of interest for me there. To the best, biggest matchup in Italia, the Sunday nightcap, we have Roma, a pick'em to Napoli. All the juice on Roma at home. Total is 2, and it's juiced all the way to over. Yet again, another tiny Napolitano or Neapolitan total. Looks like we could get to 2.25 before kickoff. I'm interested there. Under there, of course, and under 2 is okay to me right now, but I'm kind of concerned about a push. I do think Roma can win this matchup, so I like their home pick 'em and under 2 at some eventual point. Last matchup we'll get to on Monday in Italian Serie A is Bologna, a 1 goal favorite with all the juice at home to Cremonese. Total in this one is 2.25, juice pretty heavily to over. And Bologna coming off Europa League does look a little expensive. Cremonese have been really competitive so far this season. I think with the full goal of insurance next to their name, I think I like that. And I like under 2.25 as well, potentially maybe seeing some tired legs from Bologna coming off of Europa League match midweek, as though they've been playing well there and probably haven't been as desperate as most teams. For my best bet in the Italian Serie A, I'm going to go with that under 2 in uh, Genoa and Verona. A lot of unders feeling them on this episode, certainly to say the least. We'll move now to French League 1. We'll check the sound, make sure that's still going. Here we go. Joe with more coming in here. Here we go. Joe, Juventus to score both halves. I mean, if you're a believer in the new manager, certainly things have gotten off to a much better start. Um, I don't. I just feel like they're playing a brand of football. Yes, I guess they have more attackers than we're used to. I just am not really so much of a believer in what they've been doing so far this year. AC Milan to nil +143. So you are Certainly not seeing much from Lazio. You are siding with the market that hates the other club from Roma. I guess that's possible, but I feel like there's been a lot of value on Lazio so far. Maybe they haven't played so well, but I do have fond memories of them winning at home as an underdog to Juventus in a match that Juve never had a chance. Atalanta, both teams to score. Okay, that is certainly the anti-Ivan Juric style, as he wants to play the low-scoring games possible and really control the game from start to finish. But Fiorentina certainly have not looked like a team that's likely to score, to say the least. Last but not least, Roma Napoli over 4.5 cards. I would say with a Lazio matchup with Guendouzi in there, you certainly want to see any type of over cards there. But from Roma, I mean, Mancini certainly is always in the mix to get one. I don't know if do they count players in that or coaches in that matchup because. Certainly, Gasparini is good for getting sent off. I don't know if that gets you 2 cards on that one, but for two yellows equal a red type thing. But certainly, if coaches are in there, Conte as well, very, very possible that he gets into the referee's book. Move now to Ligue 1 in France, as we have two leagues to get through before we get to our ultimate best bet portion of the show. We'll start on Friday with Football Club de Metz hosting Football Club, or excuse me, Stade Rennais Football Club. Metz, a three-quarter goal underdog at home with almost all the juice. Total in this one is 2 3/4, juice very heavily to over. So Metz are a goal-scoring club that came up from Ligue 2 and have not been able to prove they can defend. Rennes have been getting bet today because this number was certainly a half of a goal all last night into this morning. I'm more interested in Metz as they grow, though I don't think we get to +1, which would certainly be a buy price for me. Rennes have been really disliked by the market for a while, though I'm certainly not a believer in the market's opinion of Rennes. I think they've been really good. But as they climb to a near full goal favorite on the road at Metz, that certainly interests me in the home underdog. Total in this one is 2 3/4, just all the way to over. Um, I guess I would lean over in this one. There's one for you, Joe Dollar. I don't really think I'm going to actually play it because Rennes' defense has really been their calling card ever since Habib Bey has come in to manage their club, and I think has been a huge boon for them. But Metz, I think, are better, and honestly, the marketplace has really just dogged them all season. Not just underdog, but dogged them at least. I think giving them less respect than they deserve. And I think a three-quarter goal underdog to a team that was concerned about potentially sacking their manager just a month ago does seem pretty interesting to me for Mets there on Friday. We move to Saturday, Monaco hosting PSG in a big battle of Champions League sides. Monaco 1 goal underdogs at home with a little bit more juice. Total in this one is 3 1/4, and it's juiced more to the over. So PSG are not as strong as they seemed to be last season, winners of Champions League, losers of the final of the vaunted Club World Cup this summer. Things have not gone as smoothly. They've certainly dealt with some injuries, as have everyone. But Monaco as a full goal of insurance is very interesting to me, and I got no real feel for the total because Monaco do want to score, and that does concern me about their defense against PSG. To the next matchup on Saturday in Ligue 1 in France, we have FC Paris hosting Angers in a different battle from that first one, of course. Paris, a half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced more to over. So Angers have been really competitive to me. Have stayed in Ligue 1 longer than anyone was expected. I lean to the road underdog a half of a goal. I also lean to the under 2.5. Paris has some talent. The FC version, FC Paris, they do have some talent. I really like what I've seen from Kibal up front. But I just feel like they've been overpriced. They're kind of like the Como of French soccer, except Como have actually shown something and Paris certainly have not. To the nightcap on Saturday, Marseille hosting Toulouse. Currently, Marseille, 1 goal favorite with more juice at home. Total in this one is 2 3/4, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under. Toulouse have been awesome so far this season, not playing Europe, so they have a benefit of the extra rest, and they also get to face a Marseille team coming off of Champions League. And Champions League matters a lot to Marseille, as does winning every match, and it's just not really possible, but the expectations are always there. Toulouse is a 1 goal underdog, very interesting to me. Move next to Sunday. It looks like the early matchup, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Nice, it's not the 6:30 you'll see on Serie A, just one league ago. Strasbourg, three-quarter goal favorites at home to Stade Brestois. Total in this one is 2 and 3/4, and it's juiced a little bit more to under with a ton of juice on Stade Brest as the road underdog. Strasbourg playing in Europe this season does certainly zap some legs. A lean to Brest as a 3/4 goal underdog. Would love to get a full goal of insurance. Does not look likely. Move next to Le Havre hosting Lille. Currently Le Havre half goal underdogs at home to Europa League side. Almost all the juice on Lille right now. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced slightly more to under. This is a matchup where if Le Havre are going to be in this one and try to get a point or potentially win, they're going to need to keep this as low scoring and really grind this one to a halt. I think they have the ability to do that. I don't know that a half of a goal is enough for me, but it certainly does point towards a home result. I think under 2.5 is my bigger interest in that one, though Lille certainly have goals throughout their team. Moving next to Angers hosting Lens. Currently Angers 3/4 goal underdog with more juice at home. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juice more to over. That total is certainly reflecting Lens' goal scoring because Angers don't have any. Though I think Angers have been a decent defense despite their lack of goals so far this season. The time to back them would be at home. With all that said, I think under 2.5 is my bigger interest of the possibilities here. 2.5 feels too big, and it looks like it's pointing towards higher than that, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And 3/4 of a goal underdog seems like a lot for a team that's going to look to keep this as low scoring as possible. And Lens' defense has been pretty good, and they're also not the same team away from their vaunted fortress in the 5 at home. The same window in France, we have Lorient quarter goal favorites at home to Nice. All the juice on Nice away. Total in this one is 2.5, juice more to the under. And I keep waiting for the Frank Heiss project to completely get stopped because he's been horrible in Europa League a couple seasons in a row. Not really sure how he got there in Ligue 1 last year, despite I guess it was a really great start to the year. But Lorient, as a newly promoted side, being favored here seems ridiculous. Their defense has been so bad. But the market has liked them a lot over the last few weeks, match days, whatever's. Nice are the only way I could look. They seem very, very cheap. It's probably for a reason coming off of Europa League that they had to go all out for this midweek, and we're still pretty big underdogs at Porto. With all that said, I think Lorient are a team I'd like to bet against, and I think the market has liked them far too much. Last but not least, Lyon hosting Nantes. Currently, Lyon 1.25 goal favorites. All the juice on Nantes away. Total in this one is 2 and 3/4, and it's juiced slightly more to over. So Nantes, I'm going to try to keep this as low scoring as possible. Lyon coming off Europa League midweek. I like under 2 and 3/4. I like the road underdog of 1.25. I think we see Anthony Lopes hopefully healthy, returning back to Lyon, where he was a club legend for a long time. Probably doing a lot of work, but I think keeping a lot of goals out, and that's what we're looking for. An under and a big road underdog. For the ultimate best bet in Ligue 1 in France, I'm going to go with Monaco, a 1 goal underdog at home to PSG. Scary to say the least, to want to fade the Parisians, the stronger Champions League defending champions, holders, all those sort of things. But I think that's the side we want here in that matchup. Last but not least, we'll get to the German Bundesliga, then we'll get out of here with an ultimate best bet. Checking to see Joe Dollar coming out here. Only players in the field are counted. Damn. So only players, because I feel like you would get some potential cards from the managers in that Roma Napoli big battle on Sunday night. So thank you for confirming that. Clearly, I've not played that before, but PSG, both teams to score. I think that makes sense. I think we see a high scoring game, which does certainly weaken the road underdog, or excuse me, the home underdog. Marseille over 1.5. I think that makes sense. Big favorite at home, though I do think that Toulouse can score on them. Lyon and over 2.5. That would certainly be not good for an underplay, nor the Nantes side that I like, and certainly possible on that matchup. And last one, you have Strasbourg, both teams to score over 2.5. Certainly could. I think Strasbourg's offense has been I think okay. I don't know that. I mean, they've got a lot of talent as Chelsea's minor league club, essentially, where they send a lot of their players. Even Ben Chilwell doing halftime interviews in English is hilarious. But I think at this point, I do like going against Strasbourg and trying to balance a young squad playing in Europe this year. And last but not least, we'll get to the German Bundesliga matchup that starts in just 42 minutes and change. Borussia Mönchengladbach, they are quarter goal underdogs at home to RB Leipzig. All the juice on Gladbach also seems crazy to me, but there's a lot of love for them today. Total in this one is 3.25, and it's juiced more to over. There's not much for me to do with this one because I don't like Gladbach. I do like home underdogs, so I guess if anything, I'll put that on my list. But they have not looked good so far this season. They've fired their sporting director, their manager. They've been benching players left and right. Yes, there's been an upturn in form recently because they had to from the bottom, but man, I think Leipzig have been really good, and I don't want to fade them. Moving to the Saturday onslaught at 3:30 German time, we have Bayern München, a 2 and 3/4 goal favorite at home to St. Pauli. Total in this one's 3 and 3/4, just all the way to over. And I don't think there's any sort of interest for me in the 2 and 3/4 goal underdog. If anything, maybe St. Pauli, under 3 and 3/4 goals, but gigantic number to say the least. I think they're going to do their best to keep it as low scoring as possible. You certainly should wait out for a four to pop, but I don't think it's going to make my card. Werder Bremen then hosts FC Köln. Currently, Werder, a quarter goal favorite with almost all the juice on Köln away. Total in this one is three, and it's just pretty heavily to over. So FC Köln, one of the rare newly promoted sides, certainly yo-yo club, familiar with the Schweiz League and also the Oberhausen, the top league in Germany. But they have come in and I've been playing as aggressively as anyone, trying to score goals every matchup. That does worry me a little bit for a road underdog here because playing a tough place to play like Werder Bremen, they have a big crowd. That'll certainly be difficult. But I think at this point, the FC side is what I want. I think I like that more and I like the under three just because I think I want to be against a Bremen defense that I don't think is very good. Lean to under three because I think that push is important, but it certainly does not go with the same style that I think Cologne want to play. So at this point, I think I will probably look more to the side than to the total. Move next to FC, excuse me, we just left FC. Now move to TSG Hoffenheim, 3/4 goal favorites to FCA, Football Club Augsburg. Currently, Hoffenheim, a 3/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Total in this one is three, and it's just very heavily to over. Now, Hoffenheim have not been good at home this entire season, but they've been great away. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I think they've done a great job of building the club in the transfer market. I've not really been a believer in Christian Ilze, but he's been, I think, better than expected so far this season. A lot because his team is really talented. They've found some kind of under the radar names in Abdullu, also in Bernardo, who's always a great player and probably single-handedly kept Vafel Bochum in the league for a couple seasons. He's been great and is honestly one of the best post-game interviews you could ever seek or find. At this point, for me, I don't know if there's much I want to do here. Augsburg have a lot to prove, and I don't think I want much to do with them going on the road and try to keep this a low-scoring game. Though I guess with a push on three, that'd be my biggest interest. I'm looking for something in each game to point out, so I'll put that on there as under three, though it is a limited interest to say the least. Union Berlin, then 3/4 goal favorites to FC Heidenheim. All the juice on Union. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced slightly more to under. So Heidenheim, I mean, they look like, I mean, they barely stayed up last season. Look like a team that are going to get relegated. This one, we'll see if that ends up happening. But for me, Union Berlin as a big favorite, it's just a really awkward position for them to be in. I'll lean to under 2.5, though it's not a strong one because Heidenheim's defense has been pretty gross. And their goal is really to stay in matches to get points, score goals, and to try to outscore you. And that's a dangerous thing on the road in a tough place to play like Berlin. To the nightcap, the top Spiel on Saturday, Bayer Leverkusen at home to Borussia Dortmund. Currently a pick 'em. We saw some money coming in on Leverkusen this morning that has simply gone the other way, and we've flattened back out -110 both ways. No indicator on where we're going with this total. Or excuse me, with the side, with the total at three, just more to the under. Um, does feel like a relatively low total for these two matchups or clubs matching up. I lean to Dortmund. I think they've been better. I really don't like the fall off that Leverkusen have had in terms of multiple managers now, a lot of their players going to other clubs. I just don't think they're as talented as Dortmund. So at a pick 'em, it's probably only Leverkusen or nothing for me. So I'll wait to see if Dortmund move to a quarter goal underdog. Until then, I think we're hanging out on the sideline. To Sunday, we've started with Hamburg hosting VfB Stuttgart. Currently, Hamburg, a quarter goal underdog at home, more juice on Stuttgart away. Total in this one is three, and it's juiced very heavily to over. Stuttgart coming off Europa League, they've been trying to balance that all season. We're in Champions League last year, so it's not been impossible. But I think Hamburg are the side I certainly look to as a home underdog and lean to under three, though I think stronger to the home underdog than to the side to the total, excuse me, because Stuttgart are a goal scoring team. To the next matchup, Eintracht Frankfurt, 3/4 goal favorites at home to Wolfsburg. Juice is split on this one. Total in this one is 3.25. Juice all the way to under. And that certainly reflects VfL Wolfsburg, who have not been scoring goals all season or looking trying to keep goals games as low scoring as possible. I talked to Frankfurt, meanwhile, they want to score as much as possible to try to cover that bad, porous defense. They've been working on it and trying to defend better. We'll see what that ends up looking like this week. But I think Wolfsburg under three, they're going to try to probably dictate the tempo as the road underdog in this matchup. To the last matchup we'll get to before I'll summarize Joe's comments most likely, and then get to an ultimate best bet. Some plugs out there as well. We have Sport Club Freiburg, a half a goal favorite at home to Mainz 05, both coming off Europe. Freiburg in the Europa League, Mainz in the Conference League. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's just more to the under. I mean, Mainz they built their way, found a way into Conference League just based on their intensity being a much bigger factor than any of their opponents. The problem is they are now playing two matches a week, and that has limited their intensity advantage, I think, significantly. I think they're going to try to play this as close to the vest as possible. Under 2.5 seems interesting. I just don't really trust Freiburg to score a lot of goals. They seem to find them in ways that maybe they don't necessarily deserve. But to me, I think there's still some value potentially in going against the Freiburg offense, especially as a home favorite. So that'll be my interest in that last matchup in the German Bundesliga. But for the ultimate best bet, I'm going to put out there FC Köln under the road underdog at a quarter of a goal. Easy for me to say as my best bet from Germany. And that brings us to the end of the show. I thank you for all of us coming in live. Certainly Joe with his commentary. I'll read those off as well. We have Dortmund, like over 1.5 team total. I think we could see goals in that matchup for sure. Not a lot of defense probably going to be played in that matchup, to say the least. We'll next go to Stuttgart money line. I mean, that makes sense. Stuttgart, I mean, they have to win, which I never like playing. I do like the plus odds, of course, and that's how you're getting that. I don't really love betting a team that has to win regulation because unfortunately there are draws in the sport, and you don't get the bailout from overtime as certainly a lot would like. Frankfurt, both teams to score over 2.5, certainly fits how those matches have been played all season. And Freiburg money line, I think, makes a lot more sense in that case. You're betting the same thing as that half of a goal favorite. And the nice part is they're likely to win at home. They play much better there. Mainz are coming off a Conference League matchup, and they are just not the same team trying to be more intense than you when they're playing an extra match a week, or at least the same amount of matches as Freiburg are playing. So potentially the advantage there is less for Freiburg, but I don't hate the idea here because I've been looking to be against Mainz as much as possible this season. But honestly, the Bundesliga market has not given a lot of opportunities because Mainz have not been a favorite as much as I'd hoped so far this season. So before we get to ultimate best bet, I want to certainly plug the NFL podcast with Andrew Korshnicker. We went through it on Monday night this week, which gave you an indicator of where these lines were moving. We talked about all the standalone games, of which there are many, and as many as we could get to otherwise. He did not win his best bet yesterday, but I did have 2-0 NFL day, so I'm very thankful for that. And you can catch all those plays on patreon.com/real_G Warner. Best spot for all my plays across soccer, NFL, college football, which we should have later today, and of course, the soccer season plus college basketball, everything that's going on, all in the million sport windows that all seem to be occurring right now across all of the American, European, all the sort of things, and of course, getting you ready for the World Cup coming up. Other podcasts, should have a college basketball podcast coming out today for the weekend. I'm not expecting a ton of big games after a big feast week that we saw all week this week. But for the ultimate best bet on this portion of the show, let's get to it. We are 11, 6 and 1, 65%. Unfortunately, have fallen off that 69% number we had earlier in this season. But from the English Premier League, we like Sunderland under 2.5 goals. La Liga in Spain, I like Levante under 2.25 goals. In Serie A in Italy, like Verona under 2. And then we'll move to some sides with like Monaco, a 1-goal underdog at home in Ligue 1 in France to PSG. And the Bundesliga, Germany, we like the FC Köln quarter goal underdogs at home, or excuse me, on the road at Werder Bremen. But for the ultimate best bet, the one you grade this show on, you should see an Instagram reel at the real_G Warner, and also a YouTube short at the real_G Warner coming out. Actually, that's one thing I meant to do is shout out the new YouTube subscribers. Hopefully that's been highlighted in an email to me because it usually does say that. Come on, baby, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I have new YouTube subscribers. We have nothing listed, of course. Thank you, YouTube. You have fallen apart on me live yet again. So I guess it's time to just get into it. Let's see if I can find I can see these. So So we're just gonna, I guess, move along and not have that out there, sadly, for everyone who's hoping to get a shout out. But thank you, all of you, for coming in. I appreciate all the work that you have been doing to make sure you're following along all the stuff I'm putting out there because I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, nothing to shout out, unfortunately. So, we'll all make this happen and let's go into this right about now. So, the ultimate best bet in this episode, let's go with Sunderland under 2.5 goals. I see no reason to get off that train. I see a low scoring game in the English Premier League at home. Bournemouth are going to try to score goals, but deep down inside, they are a defensive side themselves. So, under 2.5 goals. Sunderland hosting Bournemouth for this episode, and we'll see you next week on the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast with some midweek matches. Spain, I know, is playing early, getting ready for the Super Copa to start the year in Riyadh or whatever blood money country they're playing in, and then some Premier League matches midweek in England. So we'll see plenty of action. Plus, I think Italy as well, as we're getting that rush in before the Christmas break. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that follow button at the real underscore G Warner. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube at the real underscore G Warner. And we'll see you all soon.